And then we also have something on the external side, which is called the Federal Lands Access Program, or FLAP, which you guys will remember, that's our regional partners with local governments, the counties, went together on making regional trail connections to and through this corner, and including the refuge. So this map, some of these lines on the map are from the original EIS, some of these black lines. This green line was a line that was used for the FLAP application. Boulder County is pretty content with their connection point to the north. The connection points along the eastern side, Broomfield, I think it's Broomfield County City, Arvada and Westminster are continuing to kind of work through that one. You guys will remember, and as Mimi said, we're fully aware that there are differing opinions about Rocky Flats. But we agreed as a part of that we would do some additional soil sampling as associated with construction activities. So where we're going to build trails, trailheads, trail crossings, we agreed to do that as a part of this as well. So that information may or may not influence final decisions on things where the trail crosses Indiana Street. We don't know, have to wait for results. So we're here tonight to talk about trails. We have an EIS that says you're going to have X amount of trails. Made a couple of decisions. One of those was that equestrian use, bicycle use, hiking use, and I believe non-motorized snow uses are all authorized in that EIS. But it doesn't dictate which trails which and how those trails look. Our master plans are also kind of high level. So I think there is flexibility within the group if they think that we need to shift something. If we need to move a trail from one to the other. I will say, for those of you all on the tour or have been there, a lot of these dotted lines are on existing roads. Makes sense from a cost perspective. It's less fragmentation and damage to wildlife habitat. It's already there. So, some of these lines are existing roads. I think most of them are. So when you look at this, know that, but that also doesn't mean we won't consider other options. I'm supposed to talk about how we deal with people on the arsenal, because that's a question. How do you do all this? So we're a pretty lean and mean organization. So we have to kind of look at how we manage people. Our primary mission is for wildlife. So we look for where those impacts with people and wildlife are there. We try to mitigate that stuff. But we also have a mission to try to connect people with nature, allow them to observe wildlife, interact with wildlife, etc. So in general, the way we do that is through a combination of figuring out the right places to put access and visitor activities, creating barriers to prevent unnecessary, unwanted access, so gates, fences, taking advantage of terrain and other things. And then the last one is through enforcement, rules and regulations. So be thinking about that as well. If there's an area we don't want people, is there a way that we can keep them out of those areas or off those trails or other things? Probably one final thing that came up. The 2005 EIS did not contemplate this square mile. This square mile is called Section 16. It was a former state land board section. So this square mile is not contemplated in the EIS. So there's no dotted lines, there's no anything on it because we didn't know we have it. It provides nice access over the 93, etc. But there's no dotted lines, and probably some of these dotted lines, being straight lines, are probably tied to the fact that they didn't know that we would have that.
We also talked to the funding and the timing for the building of
Okay. So again, funding is in hand for the building. They say, I think they say May 2018, is that right? May 2018 for construction being complete of all this. Funding for the in-house side of the trails was scheduled for 18. FLAP, we just met with the FLAP people on the Arsenal side, and they told us it's design in 18, construction in 19. So that's federal 18, 19, so that means October to September. So they'll start designing the Arsenal in October of 18, construction in 19. We're hearing 19, 20 for this side, for those regional trail connections. And so we've got some breathing room, but obviously we have some desires to try to have some of the amenities in place when the building opens, so we have to balance all that. But that's kind of the time horizon. It's not next week, it's not this winter. It's kind of how all this stuff will sequence out and get constructed. Let me introduce our guys too really quick. Mimi's here, you heard, contractor who's been helping us on this project. Cindy Souders, Chief of Visitor Services Programs. Josh Fraser, one of our law enforcement officers, is here to help us tonight. And actually my boss, Bernie, is here as well from the regional office. And Ryan is a public affairs specialist with the Fish and Wildlife, but he's also been working with a ton on Rocky Flats. So those faces around here you guys can go to. So I'll toss it to Mimi about how we're doing this.
Yeah, so now we want to turn it to you to essentially workshop the trail system. And like I said, we've created a number of ways for you to provide input. We've created 3 workstations here, and actually we can move that middle table workstation to the other room to give people some more space in here. At each workstation, you'll see the proposed system map. We encourage you to get together with a group, draw on it, draw your ideas, reroute the trails. There's also sticky notes of various sizes. Use these to write down your comments and stick them on the flip charts. That way other people can read them. Or write a comment on a comment card and leave that with us at the table in the end. If you prefer not to work in a group and would rather work individually, that's great too. Feel free to mark up the smaller 11x17 maps, or again, use the sticky notes, use the comment cards. Finally, if you'd rather just get out of here before the snow gets bad, you can email us comments. The email address, rockyflats@fws.gov, is on the back of these handouts, and we'll be collecting those. We are not gonna take questions. If you have questions, write them on a sticky note, write them on a comment card. I will collect those. I'll work with Fish and Wildlife Service and their partners to come up with responses, and we'll blast those responses out to everybody who left us their email. Similarly, we will record what we heard and provide a meeting summary and send that out to the email. Like David alluded to, there's quite a bit of work and a big trail system to design, so we hope that this is the beginning of an ongoing dialogue about shaping the trail system. So with that, I'm going to encourage you to break yourselves into groups. One group maybe that's keen on the trail system, maybe go in the other room and work on them. I would say if you are part of the group that are not into the trails at all, why don't you take that back table there and work together and give us your comments. Just so folks that are here in earnest to work on the trail system have some space to do that. And that's all we're going to do for the remainder of the meeting. So after you've given us your input, feel free to hit the road or to stick around and chat and ask some questions. Yeah, I'm Mimi Mallard, and I'm a contractor with
Not quite sure what we're supposed to do here.
Greenhouse Studio.
This is kind of work.
Yeah.